Hey guys, good morning everybody. How's it going? Morning. Good morning, good morning. How's it shaking? Is everyone excited for... You're new to book club, well, welcome. We are finishing up our current book and we'll probably start a new one tomorrow or the next day. That is true. Good morning. It's such a good book club record this year. Oh, you do. That's very nice. Good year to start coming to book club. Get back into reading and all that jazz. All good things. All good things. Just making my coffee, then we'll read. You know. Morning, Liz. Good morning, everybody. Just making my coffee and then we will read. Sad I slept right through Saturday. It happens though. Maybe you needed the sleepies, you know? Maybe you just needed it. It happens. No judgment from me. We do need to talk about what happens if we finish the book today, because our next book is delivering Sunday from the library, so we'll have to have like an in-between thing where we just like read something. Maybe I'll read a few chapters in my book or something like that just for funsies, so we still have something to do. I don't know. We can talk about it. Hey, Anya. Unless it comes early, which would be nice. My New Year's resolution is to wake up earlier and go to sleep around 8:30. Oh, 8:30. Gosh, that was me in second trimester of pregnancy. I couldn't stay awake past 8:30. I just would like... Yes, Prince of Oregon. I met yesterday. My brain is melting. Oh, see? You needed it even more than you thought. Yesterday is up on the use of tubes, though, in case anyone needs it. Later. Yes, take advantage of all this, like not sticking around getting ready for class and slept in. No worries, no worries. You gotta do what you gotta do. Coffee makers are so loud for no reason. It's so true. It's like they can't help themselves. It's like just brew the coffee. What's the damage here? And I descald mine all the time. People are always like, is it need to be descalded? I'm like, I literally do it every month. I don't know what else I can do. It's so loud. Listening to 8-hour training while cleaning my office. That sounds horrible. That sounds truly terrible to me. I would not want to listen to an 8-hour training. That makes me sad. Makes me sad. Yeah, the noise, it could be worse. I could have just sit through it in person. You know what? You're right. That's a good way to look at it. They made vacuums quiet. Yeah, they did make vacuums quiet. And they could do the same with coffee makers, but they choose not to because they hate us within the depths of their soul. That's what I've decided. I don't know if that's actually the reason, but, you know, whatever. Yeah. All right. At least now I can watch you and play Dreamlight Valley. Yes. Yes, I agree with watching, and I agree with playing Dreamlight Valley. Wait, the view is gorgeous. It's so gloomy where I am. Oh yeah, it's been gloomy here the last couple of days, but it got nice. When is baby girl coming? She comes in February. 1 month. We have 1 more month until we start baby watch. 2025. 1 month. Yes, yes, yes. 'Tis true. Today we have Roll for Slime. Tonight, is anyone coming to Roll for Slime? You know what? She probably won't go all the way to Valentine's Day because they don't want me to go late due to my age. So probably not Valentine's Day. She'd be late at that point. Roll for Slime is early today. It's at 2 p.m. But it's going to be fun. And then I have a birthday dinner tonight, which will be even more fun. For me anyway, because it's delicious. Secret husband planned you're back in urgent care. Gosh, Roxy, I'm sorry to hear that. That's not ideal for anybody. It's probably like 8:40 in the morning-ish. Blocked out a work meeting at 2 p.m. Yes, we love to see it. For me, I've got walking pneumonia. Oof, the worst. I feel like it's going around. A lot of people have pneumonia right now, which is not ideal. Not ideal, but it is what it is. I'm glad you're getting it taken care of. That is importante. All right, so let's see how far we get today, and then when we finish today, we can decide what tomorrow will hold, depending on if we finish the book or not. You had the flu last week. I think a lot of people did. I think a lot of people have been sick. It's a pretty common thing this time of year. I'm lucky to have an immune system like a freaking steel trap, so I don't really get sick, which is lucky. Yeah. Oh, you're probably not going to do the surgery if you have pneumonia. You're probably going to have to get through that first. Your working kids got you sick, yeah. Pain in the buttocks. It's one of those things. I think my immune system comes from the fact that my mom's a doctor, so when I was very young, I was exposed to everything, and I used to hang out in like the doctor's lounge of the hospital when she was working and stuff. I don't know for sure, but like that's my guess. But anyway, we are on chapter 39 right now, if you can believe that. I know, I would love if Secret Baby had my immune system. Oh my gosh, wouldn't that be amazing? What a joy, like a literal actual gift that would be if I like could pass my immune system on to her so that she doesn't get sick ever. Because like, I think I've been sick the entire time I've known my husband. I've been sick 1 time. We thought I was sick 2 times, but the second time turned out to be pregnancy. I was throwing up and we thought that I was sick, but I was not sick, obviously. My mom was a hoarder, so my immune system got to work out. That's real. But other than the pregnancy, which is not a real sickness, I've only been sick 1 time the whole time that I've even known him. Yeah, it was a beautiful surprise. Way better than throwing up because you're sick, right? Yeah, of course, in a way you are, Amanda. Like, yeah, but not like in the traditional, not in a way that's contagious. Although a lot of people around me are pregnant right now. And when I was at a family gathering this past week, my goddaughter was sitting next to me, and her dad looked at her, she's 14. Her dad was like, "Don't sit too close to her, it might be contagious." And I was like, leave this poor girl alone. So, you know, the joke is that it's not contagious. She's fine. But it is funny. Anyway, we're on chapter 39. Yes, at least I get something at the end of it. Holy school board drama. Oh no. School board drama. That sounds like something I'm gonna have to deal with soon. Not cute. All right. Chapter 39. Rachel tumbled onto the carpet. Spinning from her fall, she pushed a tangle of bangs out of her eyes and shook herself to her senses. She'd made it inside the Four Seasons, and now she just needed to find Jacob. Adrenaline coursed through her veins, rising from the floor. She made her way toward the elevators. A young mother and her daughter were waiting nearby. Rachel approached, and the mother's mouth gaped open in horror. It was not every day that a woman in a ball gown entered a hotel through a window. "Excuse me?" the woman stammered, pulling her daughter closer to her. Are you okay?" "I'm great," Rachel said, truly meaning it. "I'm in love." "Oh," the woman smiled politely. "Well, that's nice for you." Rachel took off then. Pushing her way past the elevator, she found an internal staircase often used by hotel staff to move between floors. Rachel reasoned rather quickly that it would be safer than the elevators which the guests were using. She pushed open the door and flew down the first flight. Her heart floated along with her toes as they snapped down the steps. There was so much hope in her heart, and then tragedy. Goliath and his men were at the bottom of the stairs. Rachel ducked behind a banister. "Hey, Goliath." Wait, sorry. I thought that was her taunting him. It's not. Let's rewind. Rachel ducked behind a banister. "Hey," Goliath said, speaking into his radio. "Any sign of her?" "Nope." A voice boomed back. "You take the front entrance. I'll head up the stairs." Rachel bit back her lower lip, her heart sinking. She needed to think fast. Quietly, she pushed open the door leading to the second floor and found herself in a familiar location. Conference rooms with a stunning glass door stretched down the hall and overlooked the busy front lobby. Rachel had just enough time to peek over the side without being noticed. Her stomach turned at the sight. It was like something out of one of Mickey's video games. Goliath had spawned, and a million tiny henchmen were swarming the location, seeking her doom. She was just about to give up when she caught something in the corner of her eye, causing her heart to skip a beat. Jacob was exiting from the elevator. "Jacob!" Rachel shouted, waving her vantage point over. Over here! Over here!" It was no use. He was too busy looking at his phone. His mind was clearly on other things, and he had missed her completely. Still, her outburst had drawn attention. A few of Goliath's henchmen looked up, and Rachel ducked down. Perched on her heels, she waited, listening for the footsteps of the guards to come racing up the stairs, but she was relieved when it didn't happen. None of them seemed to have heard her. Still, she needed to get downstairs without being noticed. Crawling on her knees, the sequins on her dress were scraping against the carpet. She made her way down a row of conference rooms on the second floor, and she had no idea how she was going to get downstairs and into the Matzah ball. And to Jacob, she just knew that she needed to keep moving. And then victory. Sitting in the last conference room, propped up on a chair like it was waiting for her, was the Matzah ball costume. Rachel beamed. Rising to her feet, she entered the conference room and took careful accounting of the costume. Honestly, it did not look good. Then again, she had gone full whack-a-mole on that thing earlier. It bore the evidence of its abuse. Its once rotund body was now misshapen and deflated. Its mouth had morphed into nothing but a small red line, which paired disturbingly well with the Cyclops-like eye. It also honestly smelled terrible. The costume was a disaster by any stretch of the imagination, but Rachel wasn't planning on wearing it. "I'm sorry," she said to the matzo ball, grabbing it by the belly, "but you owe me this one." Gathering her courage, she returned to the half wall that overlooked the first floor lobby. She took a deep breath and thought back to Toby and all the Christmas characters that Rachel had ever written, fighting so bravely for their own happy endings. And then Rachel hurled the costume straight over the ledge of the second floor. That seems dangerous. It floated down to the first floor lobby with all the grace of a brick. In the process, it tangled with the Christmas tree, hovering there on branches of evergreen before taking half of the silver and blue Christmas ornaments down to the ground with it. And with a splatter of matzah and glitter, it landed in the center of the lobby. The crowd gasped and turned, and Rachel cringed. She had not wanted to destroy a Christmas tree, but just simply create a distraction. Still, the matzo ball costume had served its purpose. With all the eyes on the deflated costume, she bolted down the stairs. She had just enough time to make it past the tree when she heard Goliath's voice booming once again. "Hey, you!" he shouted. "You in the blue ball gown, you stop right there!" Rachel squealed but did not stop. Darting through the maze of hallways and back rooms, she attempted to lose him. It was no use. Every time she turned, another one of his henchmen appeared. She twisted right, she moved left, sprinted down halls and ducked into closets, and eventually she made her way to the kitchen. The coast was clear. Rachel grabbed a white apron and threw it on. The disguise did little to hide the mermaid gown sashaying around her pink fuzzy socks, but she was determined. The main event room lay just beyond the kitchen. Grabbing a tray of latkes, she pretended to blend in with the waitstaff as she approached the door. She was close now, so close that she could hear the music. Hebrew mixed with techno blasted through the air. Her heart raced. She stepped into the main event room. Blue and white lights circled as special effects designed to look like flames crawled up the walls and formed explosions of light. It was epic, spectacular, but she did not have time to gawk. Rachel was on a mission, and the guards were everywhere. Tearing off her apron, she put the tray down and began hunting through the ballroom. The place was packed. She knew that somewhere among these special effects acrobats' fancy dresses was Mickey and her parents. She just didn't know where any of them were. Still, if she found any of them, her chances of getting arrested tonight would decrease substantially. Excuse me, she said, ducking underneath shoulders. I just need to, excuse me, I need to get through. Thankfully, nobody noticed her. The entire audience was too busy, eyes focused on the stage, to pay attention to some matzo ball fugitive. Rachel kept moving, careful not to get elbowed in the face or draw attention of the guards. When the light show finally dimmed and a moment of blackness fell over the crowd, she used that opportunity to slip up a ramp and make her way backstage. She just needed to find Jacob. She just needed to explain, well, honestly, she needed to explain everything. Her eyes darted across the backstage area, packed with musicians, chatting quietly, waiting for their set, and then Rachel's heart spun wildly. In the distance, on the other side of the stage, stood Jacob and her parents. She could just make them out beyond the curtains. Rachel rose up on tiptoe, waving wildly, trying to grab their attention, and suddenly she realized she was cornered. Goliath and his men stood behind her, tasers outstretched. None of them looked remotely amused. Hey, I can explain, Rachel said, attempting to appeal to their belief in love. You see, Jacob and I, we have a sort of strange summer camp history. You can explain it to the police, Goliath interrupted her. Now you need to come with me. Rachel stepped back. The music began to crescendo. The back curtains on the stage flew open, and the 10-foot menorah that Jacob and Rachel had so painstakingly constructed together came into view. A round of applause erupted into the air. Jacob and her parents stepped onto the main stage. There was nowhere left to hide. Chapter 40. Please don't let them taser me, Rachel screamed as she exploded onto the main stage. With Goliath hot on her trail and nowhere else to turn, she found herself falling right into Jacob's arms. Baruch Hashem, he felt really good. Not only was he preventing her from taking 1,000 volts of electricity through her sequined back, he looked amazing. Jacob was born to wear a tux. Sir, Goliath and her men were shouting, step away from the girl. What is going on? Jacob asked. We caught her breaking into the matzo ball. Jacob glanced curiously between Rachel and his security team. The poor man obviously had no idea what was happening. Please, Rachel begged, her mouth going dry. Tell them I belong here? It's okay, Jacob said. I know her. Goliath sighed, waving his men back. With the threat of being violently apprehended fading into the background, Rachel stepped away from Jacob. It was then that she saw the full horror of the scene laid out before her. From her vantage point on the stage, she could see the audience. Every single person had their phone out and was recording her. She saw her parents standing on the floating staircase midway to the shamash. Meeting their eyes, she felt the weight of her love for them. She did not want to disappoint them, but she also couldn't imagine losing Jacob. And then a word drifted from deep within her. Bashert. He was her other half. Jacob leaned in, whispering, What the hell are you doing? I need to talk to you. Now? He asked, looking around. Rachel stammered, Look, I was afraid I wouldn't get a chance before you returned to France. Jacob pursed his lips and said nothing. It was clear that he was still angry, and it suddenly struck Rachel that she should leave. Turn around and go to some sort of matzo ball protection program. She was just about to do it, too, when a familiar voice broke through the silence of the room. Excuse me, Mickey yelled, pushing his way through the crowd. I'm coming through.
Mickey landed with a ferocious huff at the front of the stage. Meeting his eyes gave Rachel courage. He didn't even have to say a single word. She knew she was supported. Whatever happened next, it would be her choice. She was ready. So standing before the mic, Rachel began slowly. You all know me as Rachel Rubenstein Goldblatt. You look at me and you see this nice Jewish girl, the daughter of a world-famous rabbi and the product of a Jewish school education, and all of that is true. I am that person. I'm totally 110% invested in my Jewish community and my faith. But I also love Christmas. A gasp went up from the crowd. She knew she was rambling, yet the words, which once felt hard, started to come easily. I love the lights, she continued, admitting everything. I love the trees and the music, and I love Santa. I love the escape of Christmas movies and the scent of gingerbread cookies baking in the oven, and for my whole life, Christmas was this magical place. It was this secret world that I would go off to, and no one expected me to be Rachel Rubenstein Goldblatt, because the rest of the world actually knows me as Margot Cross. A full-out uproar exploded from the crowd. She heard somebody curse, felt the snap of 1,000 flashbulbs from various reporters and guests. It was official. Her lifetime of living in the Christmas closet was over. I am best-selling author of over 20 Christmas novels and 4 made-for-TV movies. And for a long time, I was okay with just being a ribbon. I was okay with hiding all these important and essential parts of my life, like my career and my chronic illness and all the things I loved and cared about. But, she looked at Jacob, until I met you. Jacob finally spoke. Me? You make me want to be honest. The uproar from the crowd turned into a gentle sigh, and Rachel could feel the tides turning. When I first saw you again, she continued, I thought that you were still that horrible little boy that I met at Camp Ahava. I thought you just wanted to torture me and embarrass me and make me wear a stupid matzo ball costume around your event. And yes, I did only want a ticket to the event because I needed to write a book about Hanukkah. But then I started to get to know you, and I started to learn about you and your mom and your bubby and why Hanukkah was such an important holiday to you. And I began to see you for who you are, Jacob. You're not a horrible person, and you're not the Hanukkah Grinch. You're kind and philanthropic, and you go out of your way for people, for me, and you deserve better than someone who lies to you. What is the point of this, Rachel? The point is, she said, stomping her foot, I love you. She waited for him to say something. He fixed a steely-eyed gaze upon her. She had no idea what he was thinking. She couldn't read beyond his pursed lips and thoughtfully furrowed eyebrows. If he hated her, well, she wouldn't blame him. She just ruined his matzo ball. I'm sorry, she whispered, embarrassed. I thought maybe you felt the same way about me. She excused herself, stepping down from the stage. She passed Mickey, rushing to escape. All eyes were on her as she slunk toward the door. She needed to get out of here. She needed to leave the venue, burn her dress, and repress the memory of Jacob Greenberg forever. Otherwise, her heart would never recover. Hey, not so fast, Jacob called out. You just stop right there, Rachel Rubenstein Goldblatt. Rachel twisted around slowly. What? Jacob jumped off the stage, meeting her halfway across the dance floor. What do you think you're doing, huh? You think you could just come here, make a huge scene, and then walk out on me? No, because you stood me up at Camp Ahava at the dance 18 years ago, and I'd be a damn fool to let you walk out on me again. Rachel blinked, trying to wrap her head around his words, and then he kissed her. Jacob kissed her. Grabbing her by the waist, he pulled her to him, planting those 2 perfect lips straight upon her own, and she melted into his arms, strong yet gentle. They fit together like 2 puzzle pieces, complicated edges, rough angles, and strange colors. But when they came together, they created a picture that was somehow just right. The crowd broke into cheers and applause. The negative Nellies and all the dark naysayers disappeared in an outright explosion of love. Rachel pulled away from Jacob, waving off their goodwill. Mickey appeared, throwing his arms around her. He said, I am so proud of you. Tears in his eyes. Before he turned to Jacob and said, you take care of my girl, okay? Yeah, I promise. And you, Mickey whispered in her ear, I better be your damn maid of honor. Rachel nodded and Mickey released her. She leaned back into Jacob. He put one arm around her, pulling her close. She felt safe in her honesty with Jacob. Somewhere between a matzo ball costume, a bedazzled wheelchair, and a pair of earrings, she found the space to be herself. She glanced over to Goliath and saw him wiping away a tear. What happened? Rabbi Goldblatt's voice came over the sound system. I thought we were lighting Hanukkah candles. It was clear he was talking to his wife, oblivious to what was happening down on the dance floor. Dr. Rubenstein responded, "Listen, our daughter is a world-famous Christmas romance novelist." "Oh," Rabbi Goldblatt said, "I thought we already knew that." "Of course we knew that, but she finally had the courage to tell us it today." Bittersweet tears filled Rachel's eyes. She could not believe what she was hearing. All this time her mother and father had already known the truth. How had she not seen that? Glancing up at her parents, pride beaming from their faces, she understood. She'd been too wrapped up in her own lies, too bound up by her mashugas of the unreliable narrator living inside her head that was always standing before her, to realize Rachel was loved. She was loved unconditionally. For all her bad days, disappointments, disasters, she had never been invalid. "So what do you say?" Jacob spoke to the crowd. "Should we light some candles?" The audience responded with a unanimous yes. Mickey, Jacob, and Rachel returned to the stage, and Rabbi Goldblatt said the prayers, plus a shishinyo, I hope that's how you pronounce it, which seemed particularly fitting on this night of unusual firsts. He proceeded to light the last of the Hanukkah candles. The flames illuminated the room as the music began again, lifting into a swirl of 80s pop remixes with Sephardi rap. Surrounded by people she cared about, her world, and her community, Rachel's authentic self shone as bright as 8 flames dancing upon the menorah. 12th email. Right, Naisa, I love that they already knew. They're like, whatever, if she wants to keep it a secret, it is what it is, right? From Dr. Rubenstein to Rachel Rubenstein Goldblatt, Tuesday, December 21st. From subject, from Mom and Dad, all caps, just like a boomer. "Rachel, Daddy and I just wanted to let you know that we are very proud of you. Don't worry about anything at shul. We love you, and believe it or not, several congregants are great fans of your books. We never want to put any pressure on you. We only want to see you happy. Love, Ima and Abba. P.S. Will you be spending more time with Jacob this week? It might be nice of you to show him around town. You know, a woman can have excellent egg quality up until about age 35. Mothers, I tell you what. Chapter 41. Jacob Greenberg was going to miss his flight, and he was kind of fine with that. Standing 3 deep in line at Rachel's favorite coffee spot on the Upper West Side, he glanced at his watch. It was 8:15 on Tuesday morning, and his phone was going nuts. 2 venti black coffees, Jacob said, reaching into his pocket, and he glanced at a plate full of Sauvignon. "And 3 of those jelly donuts there?" The woman at the counter set about filling his order, and Jacob picked up his ringing phone. "Jacob," Shmuel said on the other end of the line. "Baruch Hashem, what a beautiful morning." "It is," Jacob said, grabbing the coffees and a bag full of goodies and walking towards the door. "The phones will not stop ringing off the hook," Shmuel said, partly in disbelief. "Have you seen the news?" "No, I just woke up, Shmuel." "Everyone is talking about a Matzah ball, and the world-famous rabbi's daughter turned best-selling Christmas novelist. Did you know she was Margot Cross and that she was so famous?" Jacob smiled. "Yeah, I had an inkling." "Well, anyway, she saved our Matzah ball. Her and you and that ooh-la-la kiss that you share. People can't get enough of it. Profits are through the roof. We'll have more than enough to pay back our investors." Morty, he's thrilled, of course. "Everyone wants to know what your next big idea is." My next big idea? Jacob thought about it as he sprinted up Broadway, getting closer to Rachel's apartment. "Honestly, I think I'm going to take some time off." Shmuel laughed. "That sounds very unlike Jacob Greenberg that I know. Then again, I am sitting in the airport lounge alone. By the way, thanks for the extra bag." "I never gave you that bag, Shmuel." "You didn't? You know what?" Jacob said, laughing to himself. "Keep the bag." "Really?" "Yeah." Jacob pushed through the swinging doors of the high-rise on the Upper West Side. After nodding to the doorman, he walked in and entered the elevator. "Use it in good health. Fill it with all the kosher baked goods you want. Consider it a small token of my appreciation for all your help with the matzo ball and in my life." "You really are a mensch, Jacob Greenberg." "Oh, one other thing," Jacob said, landing on the 4th floor. "This year I want to do 50-50 on the proceeds to charity, half to MS research causes and half to MECFS charities." "All right, that sounds like a good use of the money. Yeah, I agree." Jacob came to Rachel's apartment. The door was unlocked. The lights were on in the kitchen and the living room. "Hey, Shmuel," Jacob said. "Let me call you back, okay?" Jacob ended the call and began searching for Rachel, checking the bathroom first. And then the bedroom. He was surprised to find it empty. The bed was unmade, but Rachel was nowhere to be found. After the night that they'd had, he expected her to be resting. Jacob found Rachel in her office, still in her pajamas, her hair in an adorable struggle of wayward curls. She was bent over her computer, obsessively reading. "Look at the comment on the article in the Holiday Romance World," Rachel said, pointing at the computer. I used to like Margot Cross books until I found out that she was Jewish. Now I realize that there's a certain magic missing from her stories. Can you believe this woman was trying to steal Christmas?" "Turn off the computer, Rachel." Rachel twisted around in her seat. "I'm trending on Twitter, Jacob. There are videos of me exploding onto the stage and confessing everything all over the internet. There are memes of us kissing." "Well," he said as he laid the coffee down on the desk beside her, "it was quite the spectacle." She fixed him with a frown. "I'm glad you think it's funny, considering that thanks to me and my massive confession in front of the entire world, your matzo ball is a huge and smashing success." "That is true," he admitted. "I was thinking of selling my apartment." "I hate you." "What?" he teased her. "I'm gonna need something a little bigger." "Yeah, right. More appropriate for a wife and maybe 3 or 4 children, a full-time nanny, and a cat named Betty." Rachel feigned sadness. "I should probably tell you the truth then, Jacob." "Oh boy." "I'm a dog person." "A dog?" He smiled back, unfazed. "You just drink that coffee." Rachel let her fingers graze the top of the cup before lifting it to take a quick drink. God, she was beautiful, he thought. The sun was streaming through the windows, highlighting hints of red in her messy hair. The cute way one of the buttons on her pink pajamas had popped open, she was just completely herself and honest, and he was so very grateful that everything in his life had brought him to this moment. "Oh my God," Rachel suddenly screamed after turning back to her computer. "Look at this. Look what this person is saying about me on Twitter." "Okay," Jacob said, standing up to find the power cord. "Enough. No, seriously, they're calling me Momzer." "I don't even know what that means." "It's horrible," she said, shaking her head. "It's a horrible thing to call a Jewish person." Jacob was tired of watching her get tortured by strangers on the internet. He pulled the power cord and the entire computer shut down. "What did you just do?" Rachel asked, twisting in her seat. "Well, I turned it off." "Jacob," she said, red with anger. "How could you do that?" "Because it doesn't matter." But he pulled his chair closer to hers. "You look at me." She met his eyes, and he knew she was nervous. It was scary facing the world as yourself, especially when you were such a thoughtful and sensitive person. But he loved her. He loved everything about her, and she, quite remarkably, loved him. And he would always take care of her. "They hate me," Rachel said sadly. "I'll never be able to publish anything again." "You will," he said, taking her hands, "because you're a great writer and you're a born storyteller. But right now, I do think that you should rest." "Rest?" "Vacation," he smiled. "With me?" She scoffed, shaking her head. "I can't take a vacation now. They're saying I've started a war on Christmas. They're saying—" "Rachel," he said again, "it doesn't matter." "But I love you." She sighed, glanced at her computer, and then back to Jacob. He ran his fingers across her knuckles, and a tiny frown on her face was replaced by a soft smile. Jacob couldn't resist the temptation of her lips any longer, so he leaned in and he kissed her again. A soft moan escaped her at his touch, and her neck arched upward, angling her entire body toward him. It was him and her, and nothing else mattered. Rachel pulled back from their kiss, offering up a mischievous smile in his direction. "I guess screw him," she said. "Yeah. Screw him," he agreed before lifting her from the chair and taking her back to bed. 13th email. Rachel Rubenstein Goldblatt to Lisa Brown, Wednesday, March 17th. Subject, new book. "Lisa, how the heck are you doing? I realize I've been MIA for a while, Paris with the man you love and all that, you know. But we're back in New York and I've written something new. Believe it or not, it's a Hanukkah romance and it's called The Matzah Ball. Manuscript is attached. Would love to hear what you think. Rachel." Epilogue. 1 year later. "You get away from those rugoulash, Jacob Greenberg." Rachel slapped Jacob's hand away from the tray fresh out of the oven. It was the first night of Hanukkah, and if Jacob had his way, there wouldn't be any rugoulash left for noshing that evening. "Hey, look, I'm sorry," Jacob said, raising his hands up in open surrender. "I couldn't help myself." "You can help yourself," Rachel said, pulling the oozing cookie away from his lips. She laid them on a plate and counted out 3 different types of homemade cookies. Toby would be arriving from China tonight, and Rachel had been telling her soon-to-be bubby for weeks via Zoom calls how she'd been working on a special twist to her top secret arugula recipe.
Go on, Jacob grinned in her direction. I know you're dying to ask me. She bit her lower lip.
Are they as good as I think they are?
He reached for another rugulash. Let me try one more and I'll be able to... She slapped his hand away. All right, he laughed. They're perfect.
Really? She squealed with delight. I finally perfected my bagel recipe?
More than perfected it, Jacob admitted. How did you ever think to add chives and cream cheese? It's like the perfect mixture of savory and sweet.
I'll wait until you try my pastrami egg goulash.
Jacob sighed. All right, well, you have me a pastrami.
Yes, there was something different about Rachel's rugulash recipe, just like there was something different about her apartment, because now instead of looking like she had robbed a Christmas store, Rachel had decked out her 2-bedroom apartment on the Upper West Side in Hanukkah decor. Menorahs of all different shapes and sizes decorated the countertops and tables, silver and blue garland hung from the ceiling, but most impressive of all was the Hanukkah bush covered in tiny Star of David ornaments, which sat perched in the corner. Not that any of it was exactly kosher, but it was Rachel's choice, totally and completely. Rachel laid her hands flat against the flower-covered apron Jacob was wearing. And I really appreciate all your help with the cooking, too, he smiled at her.
I enjoy taking care of you.
And I, she said, leaning into him, enjoy taking care of you. Rachel folded in for another kiss. They'd been going long distance for the last 12 months, with Jacob splitting his time between New York and Paris. Although Rachel still wasn't ready to upgrade to a larger apartment, she'd been thinking seriously about the possibility of children. Everything felt easier with Jacob's love and support, well, also his money. Greenberg Entertainment was a raging success, now firmly established on 2 different continents, with Shmuel and his 50-50 partner running the French side of things. So after the wedding, Jacob would be permanently moving to New York.
Okay, Mickey said, appearing from her office. Let's save the kissing for the Yika room. Is that right? Yikud room? I don't know. Yichud? I don't know that word. He held up another menorah. All right, where do you want me to put this? That's my bubby's, Jacob explained. It was a wedding present. She wanted us to have it.
Rachel took it from Mickey. Then I think it's the perfect Hanukkah to use for our first night. Let's light it when everybody gets here.
I love that idea, Jacob agreed. Yeah, agreed, Mickey said before turning to Alexa in the kitchen, ordering it to play some Hanukkah music. All right, now let's get this wedding weekend started. Yichud. Okay, Yichud.
The sound of Nezgadol floated through the apartment. Jacob held his hand out to Rachel, and the two began to dance, periodically interrupting their private choreography to sashay across the room with Mickey. It was an amazing thing, really, to be accepted completely for who you were, to find your friends and your beshert. For all their flaws, mistakes, and oddities, there were people who made the world a better and brighter place to live in. They lit up the room with love and support for each other. You're not nervous, are you? Rachel asked, glancing into Jacob's dark eyes.
Why would I be nervous?
Oh, I don't know. Maybe because we're getting married?
I've waited 19 long years to marry you.
How very biblical of you.
Now,
Mickey corrected them both, referencing to the well-known love story from Genesis.
The original Jacob only waited 14 years to marry Rachel, so frankly, our Jacob is getting a prize for patience. Oh, you know what they say. Jacob dipped her again. Good things come to those who wait. And wait, Mickey teased. And wait, and wait, and wait.
But everybody gets their blessings in the end, Rachel said, spinning around, because everybody deserves a happy ending.
All right, well, amen to that, Jacob said. And Salah, Mickey added.
There was a knock at the front door, and Rachel turned toward the entryway, her heart still swinging wildly in time with the music. Jacob took Mickey's hand and continued their dance around the room. Rachel opened the door to see her mother holding a large white garment bag up in the air. For once, this woman was expected. Ima, Rachel beamed. Is that it? All ready for Sunday, her mother said before gasping at the sight of Jacob.
Shasvikala, what are you doing? Jacob cannot see the dress before the big day.
He can't see the dress, Rachel reminded her, because it's covered in plastic.
Dr. Rubenstein shot Jacob a mock scowl. No peeking, young man. No, I wouldn't dare.
Dr. Rubenstein entered the apartment, handing the wedding dress off to Mickey. She raised one curious eyebrow at the state of the apartment. The Hanukkah garland trailing from the ceiling, the Hanukkah bush loaded down with ornaments, Nezgadol playing in the background. She moved to Rachel's coffee table and sat On it sat a box of books. Her eyes widened as she lifted one up from the pile, reading the words spotted across the hardcover in flashy blue and white print.
The Matzah Ball, Dr. Rubenstein read aloud, by Rachel Rubenstein Goldblatt. Jacob radiated with pride. Yup, I think it's going to be a bestseller.
Doesn't matter whether it is or not, Rachel said firmly, because it's my story. Her mother cupped her cheeks, tears welling up in Rachel's eyes. She had fought hard for this happy ending. Rachel had lived a decade of her life in secret, certain that her entire world would come crashing down if anybody found out the truth about her disease or her career. Instead, the irony struck her that it was the exact opposite. Everything good in her life had grown out of being honest. She didn't quite understand it, but glancing back at Jacob, she wondered if the journey was always meant to lead her here. All right, enough of this, she said, sucking back any trace of sadness. It's our wedding this weekend, and I demand happiness. Come on. She raced to her Alexa, blasting her Hanukkah tunes even louder. Let's all just dance. Jacob grabbed Rachel, taking her for another spin. Nikki and Dr. Rubenstein joined in. Laughter and joy filled the room. The scent of goulash filled the apartment, and in her office across the desk, displayed on every windowsill, sat Rachel's new collection of menorahs. 14th email. Rachel Rubenstein Goldblatt to Dr. Rubenstein, Sunday, June 9th. Subject, Doctor. Emma, I was wondering if you could recommend a good obstetrician in the city. Love, Rachel. P.S. We don't need any more food. Very cute.
Very, very cute. I'm just moving it to my finished collection. Adorable. We love to see a happy ending for everybody. Very, very cute.
So this means that, so today's the 2nd, and the next book that we're reading doesn't get delivered. Maybe I should just get it. I'm going to try to get the book by tomorrow if I can. And then we'll just start. But if not, we'll read like something else for a couple of days until the other one gets delivered. And then start Princess Diaries on Monday. You've been let out of Broadway jail. That was nice of them, Brian, to let you out for the new year. That was kind. We would have the 3rd and the 4th with something else. Yeah, we could do a short stories collection. I'll look around and see what I can find for tomorrow. We'll still have something. I don't know what. Had to sneak in after book so I didn't get any spoilers. Oh, that's okay. No worries, Amanda. I'll get it uploaded. No, I snuck out and I'm still being called the worst human in the history of Broadway. It'll fade, Brian. You know how they are. So I'll figure out something for tomorrow and the next day, or we'll see if the book comes in early. Sometimes they do show up early from the library. So we'll hope for the best. Right now it's saying it's going to deliver on the 5th. So I don't know. But either way, I got to go set up because we do have Roll for Slime at 2 p.m. Pacific time, which is earlier than usual. So I will see you all there. I hope you have a great rest of your day. Until then.